Borderlands 3 just had a large patch that activated all in-game events permanently, raised the level cap allowing for refarming and wild new builds, and turned on crossplay, all on top of 4 Year 1 DLCs and 2 Year 2 content bundles. I find myself wondering if this massive patch is effectively the end of major support for Borderlands 3, given what's to come. We're just a few months away from Year 3 of the game with no indication about another Season Pass type offering. And that may make sense, given that Gearbox is going to be releasing Borderlands spin-off, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, in 2022, and their focus and players will likely shift to that to some extent. And all the while they are still working on a full-on Borderlands 4 in the background, though that hasn't been officially announced. I guess what I'm saying is that if this is the end of major support of Borderlands 3, scaling back to normal patches and fixes and such, this is a pretty good era to go out on. I'm tempted to call this Borderlands 3 perfected, as the game has a truly sprawling amount of content where it feels like you could target farm X or Y gear for various builds forever, and the sheer amount of potential builds you can make is the widest it's ever been with so much gear and so many skill points at your disposal. Activating all limited time events forever does sort of seem like a grand finale for the game, something you do when you were about to move on, and after 2 years, it would make sense. While players played Borderlands 2 for many years after release, some to this day, official releases wrapped up with Sir Hammerlock vs the Son of Crawmerax in April 2014, less than 2 years after the game's release in October 2012. That's until there was a pre-BL3 DLC released all the way in 2019, Commander Lilith and the Fight for Sanctuary, though that was a special occasion. My guess is that we may be done with major content additions to Borderlands 3. I could be wrong, but that's what the state of the game feels like right now. Everything's open, everything's farmable at a crazy high max level. And Gearbox has not one but 2 Borderlands-related projects they need to be working on, rather than continuing to put out brand new content for BL3. That said, Borderlands 3 sold massively well for 2K and Gearbox, which could be an extra motivator for some sort of Year 3 pack. Gearbox already is releasing new Battle Pass-like offerings for players in the future, we know that much, though I believe those are included in the Director's Cut Year 2 package. I have been deeply impressed with the level of support Borderlands 3 has received post-launch. Gearbox was always good at Borderlands DLC, but they did a phenomenal job this time around, not just with traditional DLC, but new types of activities to keep the endgame lively, and great events that thankfully, are now permanent additions to the game.